What happens to a Florida cop who pulls a gun on a man who called 911? He's reinstated. That's what. Give you the details. Her Atlanta Black star, Bethany Guerriero, South Florida police officer fired for holding an unarmed man at gunpoint in a viral video, will be reinstated, highlighting the difficulty in terminating officers who abuse their authority. Despite her reinstatement, Guerrero still faces a federal lawsuit over the incident, which her superiors called an absolute abuse of authority in every possible way. Jury trial on that is set for September. I mean, when your superiors in uniform, in blue, are saying, you're the worst, they're out with it. I didn't see qualifying excuses and stuff. You're really bad, okay? Because a lot of times we know what happens. Blue is blue, and we're going to stick together. The incident is a tragedy. Robert Norton, the attorney who represented the city during the hearing, said, according to the Palm Beach Post, she's not stable. How did she become an officer? Is there no kind of screening for that? Well, that's right. Which quoted from the transcript of the arbitration hearing that took place earlier this month. She's not stable. But Guerrero's attorney, Rick King, told the arbitrator that her behavior that day merited a discipline someplace between a stern look and termination. Huh? And the arbitrator, Richard Miller, apparently agreed because he sided with Guerrero, a 19-year veteran of the Palm Beach Gardens Police Department. Guerrero was making more than $100,000 annually before she was fired in September 2023. She'll likely receive about that much in back pay. Okay, lump sum. But Palm Beach Gardens Police Major Javier Garcia declined to elaborate when emailed by Atlanta Black Star because it is our policy that we do not comment on pending litigation or personnel matters. Well, then don't put out any more police blotters on people who've been arrested but not fully adjudicated then. Since you don't comment, right, on pending matters. So don't give any comments to the media because these people could be innocent and we've got to work through it. If that's what you want to do, why are there one set of rules for those in uniform and another for everybody else? Just asking.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
She will likely endure scrutiny from some of her fellow officers, including one sergeant who investigated the incident and said she was prone to becoming enraged and has a history of emotional tantrums. Guerrero even acknowledged in a deposition last year, I'll admit all day long that, wasn't my best moment at all. The privilege is just incredible. Let's get to the incident that occurred May 9, 2023, outside the community pool of an apartment complex. It's following a confrontation between a man named Ryan Gould and a married couple. Gould was swimming laps just after 11 a.m. when the wife asked him to stop so she could swim laps in a perpendicular direction on a shorter end of the pool. Just wait your turn. You're there first. But okay. Gould refused to leave the pool, which was otherwise empty, and continued his laps. The woman then started her laps, resulting in the two swimming into each other's path. Surveillance video from the pool, which contains no audio, shows the two arguing before the woman exits the pool to call her husband, Benedetto Salvia, who then shows up to argue with Gould. Now, right there, you have the wrong partner, okay? You have the wrong partner if they don't just get out of the pool and leave, but they called you to get into a confrontation. You have the wrong partner. Sorry. And I have no partner, but this is my ruling on that one, okay? Salvia approached Gould, stood directly in front of him before lifting his shirt to reveal a gun in a holster tucked in his waistband. That's when Gould left the pool area to call the police about a man brandishing a gun. However, Salvia was the first to call the police and accused Gould of harassing his wife, telling dispatchers that he displayed a gun and that he has a concealed weapons permit. So there's some Karen in this story too. It's woven in there, okay? Palm Beach Gardens officer Michael Valerio was the first cop to arrive on the scene, confronting Gould, who was standing outside the pool clubhouse, asking him if he was the one with the gun. I don't have it. He does, responded Gold, prompting the officer to walk around the clubhouse to the pool to confiscate Salvia's gun without having to draw his own gun. When Guerriero arrived at the scene with Officer Joseph Strelzecki, she took a different approach, ordering Gold to keep his hands out of his pockets. When Gold responded, he was not the man with the gun. He reached into his pocket for his phone. That's when her tone and behavior escalated. Look at this. Guerriero pulled out her gun, ordered Gold to lie face down. Strelzecki, who was also listed as a defendant in the lawsuit, drew his taser. Don't you feel tough? He has on swimming trunks, okay? No shirt. Gold questioned why he was being handcuffed as more officers arrived. Sue, you got to sue. Well, there's more. So let's take a look at that. Guerriero was unable to follow through with the arrest. The charge became resisting arrest without violence. This is rich. Because she started complaining about chest pains and was rushed to the hospital for what she describes in the deposition as a cardiac incident, remaining hospitalized for 2 days. Police transported Gold to the station, dressed only in shorts, placing him in a cell. Meanwhile, a sergeant viewing the surveillance video determined Gold was indeed the victim and not the aggressor. Palm Beach Gardens Police Sergeant Dennis B. then ordered Gold to be unarrested. That's like you're going to moonwalk it back like there's no mistake here. Before driving to the hospital to inform Guerriero that her actions would likely lead to disciplinary action, when he asked the sergeant who made the decision to release Gold, he said it was his decision. But it wasn't until a month later when the YouTube Police Accountability Channel, Lackluster, published an explanatory video. It was titled, "Innocent Man Locked Up by Unhinged Cop, Chief Escalates," that the agency began taking steps to fire her. What's scary is she's been a cop for 19 years, said one of the commenters on the YouTube channel. Imagine the stuff she's lied about for that long. Touché. Certain people shouldn't be officers. Certain people shouldn't have a badge and a gun. Certain people should not be able to have power over others. Certain people want to be just that, officers, because it gives them this kind of power that they will abuse. What do you imagine is the worst part of this incident? Because Tehran, we see this all too often, I'll say.
What I imagine the worst part of this incident is that Bethany Guerriero not only is reinstated, but she does not have an OnlyFans. I definitely went and checked. That's what happens to a lot of these. We get thrust in the media. Now let's open OnlyFans and start making it because she is not going to make it as a police officer. And I think that her supervisor, who also stood by her, should also have an OnlyFans because he's not going to make it either. The idea is that this was an abuse of authority. It's not my opinion. That's what was written in the affidavit, abuse of authority. And somehow we still gave this person qualified immunity, something that we need to go over as a federal and state laws and re-examine this idea of what qualified immunity should be. And by the way, if Ryan Gold was Jamal Gold, he would have been shot. Jamal Gold would have been shot. So this is what happens when police officers, by the way, this is the best, not the worst. This is the best because they know they have cameras and we have cell phones and they have body cams and there's cameras all over the place. And this is how police officers are still acting. This is our fault. It is our fault because we oftentimes forget police officers, while their job is extremely dangerous and they are mostly good people. In this case, we should not have a blue wall of silence. In this case, we need to be making phone calls to that police department and staying on top of this. We should be also re-examining who is allowed to be a police officer. What are the qualifications and why there's such a lack of enthusiasm for this job that it attracts these kind of abuse of power bullies to become people who hold guns with badges and the right to do so.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it any better. This is sick. And remember part of the story. She's been like this 19 years. What else has she done? Okay, and you're right. If this is how you know the cameras are there. If this is how you behave, imagine. I don't want to.